Chapter 1. The klaxon alarms blared throughout the space station, jolting Lara Novak awake. She leaped out of her bunk, heart pounding, as the emergency lights bathed her quarters in an eerie red glow. Lara's mind raced, trying to make sense of the chaos erupting around her. "Attention all personnel," a voice crackled over the intercom. "Evacuation order. Nemesis protocol is now in effect. Proceed to your designated escape pods immediately." Lara grabbed her emergency kit and dashed out into the corridor, joining the throng of panicked residents. The station shuddered violently, nearly knocking her off balance. She clutched the wall for support, her knuckles turning white. As she pushed through the crowd, Lara spotted her neighbor, an elderly man struggling to keep up. Without hesitation, she grasped his arm and helped him navigate the sea of bodies. "What's happening?" the man asked, his voice trembling. "I don't know," Lara replied, "but we need to get to the escape pods." The station shook again, more forcefully this time. Lara's stomach lurched as she realized the gravity of the situation. Something was very wrong. They reached the escape pod bay, where a line of frightened people waited to board. Lara helped the elderly man into a pod before climbing in herself. The hatch sealed shut with a hiss, and the pod jettisoned into the void of space. Through the small viewport, Lara watched in horror as the space station crumbled, its structure succumbing to an unseen force. Debris scattered in all directions, glinting in the starlight like a macabre fireworks display. Lara's mind reeled as she tried to process the magnitude of the disaster. What could have caused such destruction? As the escape pod hurtled away from the remnants of the station, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of something much larger and more terrifying than she could imagine. Chapter 2. The escape pod drifted through the void, its occupants huddled together in shocked silence. Lara stared out the viewport, her mind still reeling from the destruction of the space station. She couldn't shake the feeling that something far more sinister was at play. Suddenly, the pod's communication system crackled to life. "This is Governor Alara Voss of the Hyperion Colony," a female voice announced. "To all survivors of the Orion Station incident, we are coordinating rescue efforts. Please activate your pod's locator beacon and remain calm." Lara quickly followed the instructions, a glimmer of hope rising in her chest. She turned to the elderly man beside her, offering a reassuring smile. "Help is on the way. We'll be all right." As they waited for rescue, Lara's thoughts drifted to her family back on the Hyperion Colony. She prayed they were safe and that the disaster was limited to the Orion Station. Hours passed before a rescue ship appeared, its sleek form silhouetted against the stars. Lara and the other survivors were brought aboard, greeted by a team of medics and Governor Voss herself. "I know you have many questions," Governor Voss addressed the survivors, her voice calm and authoritative. "But first, we must ensure your well-being. Please follow the medics to the infirmary for a full examination." As Lara was escorted through the ship's corridors, she overheard snippets of conversation between the crew members. Gravitational anomalies, rogue planet, Nemesis protocol. The words sent a chill down her spine. In the infirmary, Lara found herself beside a young pilot named Jace Riker. His eyes were haunted, mirroring the confusion and fear she felt. "I've never seen anything like it," Jace whispered. "The way the station just crumbled, it's like it was ripped apart by an invisible force." Lara nodded, recalling the terrifying moment. "Do you think it has something to do with that rogue planet they were talking about?" Jace shrugged. "I don't know, but I have a feeling we're about to find out." As if on cue, Governor Voss entered the infirmary, her expression grave. "I'm afraid I have some unsettling news," she began. "The destruction of the Orion Station was not an isolated incident. We've received reports of similar occurrences across multiple colonies." A murmur of disbelief and fear rippled through the room. Governor Voss held up a hand, silencing the crowd. "We believe these events are connected to the arrival of a rogue planet in our galaxy, which we've named Nemesis. Its gravitational anomalies are causing unprecedented disruptions, and we must act quickly to protect our colonies." Lara exchanged a glance with Jace, a sense of unease settling in her stomach. It seemed that their fight for survival was far from over, and the true nature of the threat remained shrouded in mystery. Chapter 3. As the survivors grappled with the unsettling revelation, Governor Voss continued, "We've initiated the Nemesis Protocol, a galaxy-wide effort to study this rogue planet and mitigate its effects. Our top scientists and engineers are working tirelessly to find a solution, but we need all the help we can get." Lara stepped forward, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her veins. "Governor Voss, I'm a data analyst with experience in astrophysics. If there's any way I can assist in the research efforts, I'd like to volunteer." Jace, too, spoke up. "I'm a pilot, ma'am. If you need someone to gather data or scout for potential safe zones, I'm your man." Governor Voss smiled, a flicker of hope in her eyes. "Your expertise and bravery are exactly what we need in these trying times. Welcome aboard, both of you." As Lara and Jace were briefed on their new roles, a sense of purpose filled the room. The survivors, once lost and frightened, now had a mission: to unravel the secrets of Nemesis and save humanity from its destructive path. In the days that followed, Lara found herself immersed in a world of complex equations and gravitational models. She worked alongside a team of brilliant minds, each driven by the same desperate need for answers. Jace, meanwhile, took to the stars, piloting reconnaissance missions to gather data on Nemesis and its effects on nearby systems. Each time he returned, he brought back valuable information that helped refine their understanding of the rogue planet. Yet, as they delved deeper into the mystery, an unsettling pattern began to emerge. The gravitational anomalies caused by Nemesis seemed too precise, too targeted to be mere coincidence. Late one night, as Lara pored over a set of data, a chilling realization dawned on her. She rushed to find Jace, her heart pounding in her chest. "Jace, I think I've found something," she said, her voice trembling. "The anomalies, the way they're affecting specific colonies, it's almost as if Nemesis is being guided by some unseen force." Jace's eyes widened. "Guided? But how and why?" Lara shook her head. "I don't know, but it's clear that Nemesis is more than just a rogue planet. There's something else at play here, something far more sinister." As they shared their findings with Governor Voss and the rest of the team, a heavy silence fell over the room. The implications were staggering, and the path forward was uncertain. But one thing was clear: they could not face this threat alone. If humanity was to survive, they would need to unite like never before, pooling their resources and knowledge across the vast expanse of the galaxy. For Lara and Jace, the fight had only just begun. With each passing day, the stakes grew higher, and the secrets of Nemesis loomed ever larger. They could only hope that, in the end, their efforts would be enough to save the last remnants of humanity from the darkness that threatened to consume them all. Chapter 4. Unraveling the Enigma. As the weight of their discovery settled upon the team, Governor Voss's face grew solemn. "If Nemesis is indeed being guided by an unseen force, we must act swiftly. We cannot afford to let this threat consume us." She turned to Lara and Jace, her eyes filled with determination. "I need you both to continue your work. Lara, delve deeper into the data. Look for any patterns or clues that might shed light on this mystery. Jace, I want you to lead a team to the outer reaches of the affected systems. We need to know the full extent of Nemesis's influence." Lara and Jace nodded, their resolve strengthened by the governor's words. As they set to their tasks, a sense of urgency permeated the air. Days turned into weeks as Lara lost herself in a labyrinth of data, seeking the elusive threads that might unravel the enigma of Nemesis. She worked tirelessly, fueled by a desperate need for answers. Meanwhile, Jace and his team ventured into the void, navigating treacherous gravitational fields and witnessing firsthand the devastation wrought by the rogue planet. Each new system they explored revealed the same harrowing truth: Nemesis left only chaos and ruin in its wake. As they pushed deeper into the affected regions, Jace couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. It was as if the unseen force guiding Nemesis was aware of their every move, toying with them like pawns on a cosmic chessboard. Back at the research facility, Lara made a startling discovery. Hidden within the data was a faint signal, a pattern that repeated itself across multiple systems. It was a message, encoded in the very fabric of the anomalies. With trembling hands, she deciphered the ancient language, revealing a chilling truth. The signal was a warning, left by an extinct alien race. Nemesis, it seemed, was not a rogue planet at all, but a weapon designed to safeguard the galaxy against a far greater threat. Lara's heart raced as she relayed her findings to Governor Voss and the team. The implications were staggering. If Nemesis was a weapon, then who or what was it intended to protect them from? As the team grappled with this new revelation, Jace's voice crackled over the comm. Governor Voss, we've found something. A structure, hidden within the gravitational anomalies. It's like nothing we've ever seen before. Governor Voss leaned forward, her eyes wide. A structure? Can you get a closer look? Negative, Jace replied, his voice strained. The anomalies are too strong. We can't get any closer without risking the ship. Lara's mind raced. A structure hidden within the anomalies. Could it hold the key to unraveling the mystery of Nemesis? Governor Voss's voice cut through her thoughts. Jace, return to base. We need to regroup and plan our next move. As Jace and his team made their way back, Lara couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the cusp of something momentous. The secrets of Nemesis were beginning to unravel, but with each new discovery, the stakes grew higher. She glanced around the room, taking in the determined faces of her colleagues. They were the last hope for humanity, the only ones who could stand against the darkness that threatened to consume them all. And as they prepared for the battles to come, Lara knew one thing with certainty. They would not go quietly into the night. They would fight with every ounce of strength and courage they possessed to protect the last remnants of their species and uncover the true purpose of Nemesis. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, and the clock was ticking. Chapter 5: The Gathering Storm. As the team regrouped at the research facility, a sense of unease permeated the air. The revelation of Nemesis's true nature had shaken them to their core, and the discovery of the hidden structure within the anomalies only added to the growing list of unknowns. Governor Voss called an emergency meeting, her face etched with concern. We're facing an unprecedented threat, she began, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. But we cannot let fear paralyze us. We must act, and we must act now. Lara stepped forward, her eyes blazing with determination. I believe the key to understanding Nemesis lies within that structure. We need to find a way to get closer, to uncover its secrets. Jace nodded in agreement, but the gravitational anomalies make it nearly impossible to approach. We'll need to find a way to stabilize the area long enough to send in a team. As the room erupted into a flurry of ideas and debates, a voice cut through the chaos. It was Dr. Alara Voss, the governor's sister and a brilliant astrophysicist. I may have a solution, she said, her voice calm and measured. But it won't be easy. All eyes turned to her as she outlined her plan. It was a daring gambit, one that would require the coordination of every colony and every resource at their disposal. But if successful, it could give them the window they needed to unravel the mystery of Nemesis. As the team set to work, Lara couldn't shake the feeling that they were racing against an unseen clock. The signal she had deciphered hinted at a looming threat, one that made Nemesis seem like a mere harbinger of the darkness to come. Days turned into weeks as they labored tirelessly, poring over data and running countless simulations. The strain was beginning to take its toll, but they pushed forward, driven by the knowledge that failure was not an option. And then, on a day that started like any other, everything changed. Alarms blared throughout the facility as sensors detected a massive gravitational surge emanating from Nemesis. The rogue planet was on the move, its trajectory shifting in ways that defied all known models. Governor Voss's face paled as she watched the data stream in. It's heading straight for the Eridani colony, she whispered, her voice barely audible above the chaos. We have to evacuate. But even as the words left her lips, she knew it was too late. The Eridani colony was home to millions, and there was no way to evacuate them all in time. Jace slammed his fist against the console, frustration etched into every line of his face. We can't just sit here and do nothing. Lara placed a hand on his shoulder, her eyes meeting his. We won't, she said, her voice filled with a quiet determination. We'll find a way to stop this, to save Eridani and every other colony out there. And as the team raced against time, Lara couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. The gathering storm was upon them, and they were the only ones who could weather its fury. But even as the darkness closed in, Lara held on to hope. They had come too far, sacrificed too much to let Nemesis win. And as long as they stood together, As long as they fought with every ounce of strength and courage they possessed, there was still a chance to uncover the truth, to protect the ones they loved, and to forge a future among the stars. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, and the clock was ticking. Chapter 6: The Battle for Eridani. Tension hung thick in the air as the team raced to find a solution to the impending crisis. Nemesis hurtled through space, its trajectory set on a collision course with the Eridani colony. The once vibrant research facility had transformed into a war room, with every available resource focused on the singular goal of saving millions of lives. Governor Voss stood at the center of the chaos, her eyes darting between the various holographic displays. "We need options, and we need them now," she said, her voice cutting through the din. Dr. Alara Voss stepped forward, her face a mask of determination. "I believe I have a way to buy us some time," she said, pulling up a complex set of equations on the main screen. "If we can use the combined gravitational fields of the nearby colonies to create a temporary barrier, we might be able to deflect Nemesis's path long enough to evacuate Eridani." Lara studied the equations, her mind racing. "It's risky," she said, "but it might be our only chance." Jace nodded, his jaw set. "We'll need every ship, every pilot we can muster. This won't be easy, but we have to try." As the team set their plan in motion, a sense of purpose filled the room. Pilots from across the colonies volunteered for the mission, their faces grim with the knowledge of what was at stake. Engineers worked around the clock to modify the ship's gravitational arrays, while scientists pored over the data, searching for any advantage they could find. And then, as Nemesis loomed ever closer, the fleet launched. Lara watched from the command center as the ships took up their positions, forming a vast network of interlocking gravitational fields. It was a sight unlike any she had ever seen, a testament to the ingenuity and determination of the human spirit. But even as hope swelled within her, doubt crept in at the edges. Would it be enough? Could they really stand against the might of a rogue planet? As if in answer, Nemesis began to shift, its trajectory bending under the combined gravitational force of the fleet. A cheer went up from the command center, but it was short-lived. The planet fought back, its own gravity warping and twisting in ways that defied comprehension. Jace's voice crackled over the comms, strained with the effort of maintaining his ship's position. "We can't hold it much longer," he said, his words punctuated by the groaning of metal. "Eridani needs to evacuate now." Governor Voss gave the order, and the evacuation began. Ships streamed from the colony's surface, carrying as many people as they could hold. But even as they fled, Nemesis continued its relentless advance. Lara watched helplessly as the fleet struggled to maintain the barrier, their ships buckling under the immense gravitational forces at play. And then, with a sickening lurch, one of the ships broke formation, its gravitational array sputtering out. The barrier collapsed, and Nemesis surged forward, its surface rippling with an otherworldly energy. Lara's heart seized in her chest as she watched the planet bear down on Eridani, at the colony's defenses woefully inadequate against the onslaught. But even as despair threatened to overwhelm her, a voice cut through the chaos. It was Jace, his ship battered but still flying. "I have an idea," he said, his voice steady despite the dire situation. "But I need your help, Lara." Together, they worked feverishly to implement Jace's plan, a last-ditch effort to save Eridani and the countless lives that hung in the balance. It was a gamble, one that could easily backfire, but they had no choice. As the final pieces fell into place, Lara held her breath, watching the screens with a mix of hope and fear. And then, against all odds, it worked. Nemesis shuddered, its surface rippling with a blinding light. For a moment, it seemed to hang suspended in space, a silent testament to the power of human ingenuity. And then, with a final defiant roar, it veered off Arce, hurtling away from Eridani and into the depths of space. The command center erupted in cheers, the tension of the past hours finally releasing in a wave of relief and joy. But even as they celebrated, Lara knew that their victory was only temporary. Nemesis was still out there, still a threat to everything they held dear. And the hidden structure within the anomalies still held secrets that could change the course of their struggle. But for now, they had bought themselves some time. Time to regroup, to plan, and to fight another day. As Lara looked out at the stars, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had faced the impossible and emerged victorious, but the battle was far from over. The fate of the galaxy still hung in the balance, and they were the only ones who could tip the scales. It was a daunting task, but one they would face together, united in their determination to protect the ones they loved and forge a future among the stars. And so, as the Eridani colony began the long process of rebuilding, the team turned their attention to the challenges ahead. The road would be long and fraught with danger, but they would not falter. For they were the guardians of the galaxy, the last line of defense against the darkness that threatened to consume them all. And they would not rest until the light of hope shone bright once more. Chapter 7. Echoes of the Past. In the aftermath of the battle for Eridani, an uneasy calm settled over the colonies. The once bustling research facility now lay in ruins, a haunting reminder of the destruction Nemesis had wrought. Governor Voss and her team worked tirelessly to coordinate relief efforts, while Lara and Jace pored over the data they had collected, searching for any clues that might help them unravel the mystery of the rogue planet. As they delved deeper into the anomalies, a disturbing pattern began to emerge. The hidden structures within Nemesis seemed to pulse with an ancient, almost familiar energy, one that resonated with the very fabric of the universe. "I've seen this before," Dr. Alara Voss whispered, her eyes widening in recognition. "In my studies of the extinct alien race, the progenitors." Governor Voss leaned forward, her brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" "The progenitors were said to have mastered the art of manipulating gravity," Dr. Voss explained, her voice trembling with excitement. "They used it to create wonders beyond our wildest dreams, but also to safeguard the galaxy against some unknown threat." Lara felt a chill run down her spine. "You think Nemesis is one of those safeguards?" Dr. Voss nodded. "It's possible, but if that's true, then we may be facing a danger far greater than we ever imagined." As the team grappled with this revelation, a distress call came in from a nearby colony. A strange energy signature had been detected, one that bore an eerie resemblance to the anomalies within Nemesis. Jace and Lara raced to investigate, their ships cutting through the void with a renewed sense of urgency. As they approached the colony, they were greeted by a sight that defied explanation. A vast, pulsating structure hung in space, its surface shimmering with an otherworldly light. It seemed to beckon to them, drawing them closer with an almost irresistible force. As they drew nearer, Lara's ship began to shudder, the controls growing sluggish and unresponsive. "Jace, I'm losing control," she cried, her voice tinged with panic. Jace's voice crackled over the comms, strained with the effort of maintaining his own ship's stability. "It's the structure," he said, his words punctuated by static. "It's pulling us in." With a sickening lurch, Lara's ship was dragged towards the structure, its hull groaning under the immense gravitational forces at play. She braced herself for impact, her heart pounding in her chest. But instead of the crushing embrace of metal on metal, Lara found herself enveloped in a blinding light. For a moment, she was weightless, suspended in a void that seemed to stretch on forever. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the light faded, and Lara found herself standing on a solid surface, her ship nowhere in sight. She looked around, her eyes widening in disbelief. She was standing in a vast, cavernous chamber, its walls pulsing with the same otherworldly energy that had drawn her in. And there, at the center of the room, stood a figure unlike any she had ever seen. It was tall and slender, its form seemingly composed of pure light. It regarded Lara with eyes that glowed with an ancient wisdom, and when it spoke, its voice echoed through the chamber like a chorus of 1,000 whispers. "Welcome, child of Earth," it said, its words filled with a gentle authority. "We have been waiting for you." Lara's mind reeled with questions, but before she could voice them, the figure held up a hand. "We are the progenitors," it said, "the guardians of this galaxy, and we have a message for you, one that will change the course of your destiny." As Lara listened, her heart raced with a mixture of fear and excitement. The progenitors spoke of an ancient war, one that had raged across the stars long before humanity had ever dreamed of setting foot on other worlds. They spoke of a great evil, a force of destruction that threatened to consume the very fabric of reality itself. and they spoke of Nemesis, the last line of defense against this evil, a weapon forged in the heart of a dying star and imbued with the power to reshape the universe itself. But Nemesis is not alone, the figure said, its voice growing urgent. There are others like it, scattered throughout the galaxy, and only by uniting them can you hope to stand against the darkness that is to come. Lara's mind raced with the implications of the progenitor's words. She thought of the colonies, of the countless lives that hung in the balance, and she knew, with a certainty that burned like a fire in her heart, that she would do whatever it took to protect them. As the figure began to fade, its form dissolving into the light, Lara reached out a hand. "Wait," she cried, desperate for answers. "How do we find the other weapons? How do we unite them?" The figure smiled, its eyes glinting with a strange mix of sorrow and hope. "The path will not be easy," it said, its voice growing fainter with each passing moment. "But you will find the way, for the fate of the galaxy rests in your hands, child of Earth, and in the hands of all those who stand with you." With a final, blinding flash of light, the figure vanished, leaving Lara alone in the chamber. She stood there for a moment, her mind reeling with the weight of the progenitor's words. And then, with a steadfast resolve, she turned towards the exit, ready to face the challenges that lay ahead. For she knew, now more than ever, that the battle for the future of the galaxy had only just begun. Chapter 8. The Path Ahead. As Lara emerged from the progenitor structure, she found herself back in her ship, the controls responding once again. Jace's worried voice crackled over the comms. "Lara, are you all right? What happened in there?" Lara took a deep breath, trying to process the revelations she had just experienced. "I'm fine, Jace, but we need to get back to the others. I have information that changes everything." The journey back to the research facility was a blur, Lara's mind consumed by the progenitor's words. As soon as they landed, she called an emergency meeting with Governor Voss, Dr. Voss, and the rest of the team. "The progenitors created Nemesis as a weapon," Lara explained, her voice steady despite the weight of her words. "But it's not the only one. There are others scattered throughout the galaxy, and we need to find them if we want to have any chance of stopping the coming darkness." Governor Voss leaned forward, her eyes filled with a mix of concern and determination. "Do we have any idea where to start looking for these other weapons?" Dr. Voss chimed in. "Based on the data we've collected from Nemesis and the progenitor structure, I might be able to create an algorithm to detect similar energy signatures across the galaxy." Jace nodded. "We'll need to mobilize the colonies, pool our resources and knowledge. This is bigger than any one of us now." As the team discussed strategies and logistics, Lara couldn't shake the feeling of unease that settled in her gut. The progenitor's warning echoed in her mind, a constant reminder of the stakes they were facing. In the days that followed, the colonies buzzed with activity. Ships were retrofitted for long-range exploration, crews were assembled, and supplies were gathered. The search for the hidden weapons had begun. Lara found herself at the helm of one of the lead ships, Jace by her side. As they prepared to embark on their mission, Governor Voss pulled them aside. "I know the weight that rests on your shoulders," she said, her voice filled with a quiet strength. "But remember, you're not alone in this. The fate of the galaxy may depend on your success, but we will be with you every step of the way." Lara nodded, feeling a surge of gratitude and determination. "We won't let you down, Governor. We'll find the weapons and put an end to this threat, whatever it takes." As the ships lifted off, breaking through the atmosphere and into the vast expanse of space, Lara couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at the journey that lay ahead. The progenitor's legacy had become their own, and with it, the responsibility to protect the galaxy from the encroaching darkness. She glanced at Jace, seeing the same resolve etched on his features. They were in this together, bound by a shared purpose that transcended their individual struggles and fears. And as the stars stretched out before them, a glittering canvas of infinite possibility, Lara knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them head-on. For the sake of the colonies, for the memory of the progenitors, and for the future of all life in the galaxy. The path ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear. The fight for survival had only just begun, and they would not rest until the galaxy was safe once more. Chapter 9. The Search Begins. The vastness of space stretched out before Lara and Jace as their ship, the Intrepid, led the way through the star-studded expanse. The weight of their mission hung heavy in the air, a constant reminder of the stakes they were facing. The fate of the galaxy rested on their shoulders, and failure was not an option. "All right, team," Lara's voice crackled over the comms. "Doctor, Voss's algorithm has identified several potential locations for the hidden weapons. We'll be splitting up to cover more ground. Stay sharp, and stay in contact." The fleet of ships dispersed, each one heading towards a different set of coordinates. Lara and Jace exchanged a glance, their resolve unwavering despite the uncertainty that lay ahead. As the Intrepid approached their designated location, a small, unassuming planetoid on the outer edges of a distant star system, Lara couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The hair on the back of her neck stood on end, and she gripped the controls tighter. "Jace, are you picking up anything on the scanners?" she asked, her eyes scanning the view screen for any signs of trouble. Jace shook his head, his brow furrowed in concentration. "Nothing yet, but I'll keep an eye out. This place gives me the creeps." They landed on the planetoid's surface, the ship's lights cutting through the thick, inky darkness. As they stepped out onto the rocky terrain, Lara couldn't help but feel a sense of foreboding. Something about this place felt wrong, like they were trespassing on forbidden ground. Their scanners led them to a small, nondescript cave, its entrance barely visible amidst the jagged rocks. As they stepped inside, their flashlights casting eerie shadows on the walls, Lara's heart began to race. She could feel the weight of the centuries pressing down on her, the secrets of the progenitors whispering in the darkness. And then they saw it. A faint, pulsing glow emanating from the depths of the cave, beckoning them forward. Lara and Jace exchanged a look, their excitement tempered by a sense of caution. They had found one of the hidden weapons, but at what cost? As they approached the source of the light, a sudden tremor shook the cave, sending rocks and debris crashing down around them. Lara and Jace barely had time to react before a massive, hulking creature emerged from the shadows, its eyes glowing with a sickly, otherworldly light. "Run!" Lara shouted, grabbing Jace's arm and pulling him towards the entrance. They sprinted through the winding tunnels, the creature's heavy footsteps echoing behind them. Lara's heart pounded in her ears, her breath coming in ragged gasps as they raced towards the ship. They barely made it inside before the creature reached them, its massive claws scraping against the hull. Lara slammed her fist against the controls, the engines roaring to life as they lifted off, leaving the planetoid and its guardian behind. As they caught their breath, Jace turned to Lara, his eyes wide with a mix of fear and exhilaration. "What the hell was that thing?" Lara shook her head, her mind reeling from the encounter. "I don't know, but it's clear the progenitors didn't want their weapons to be found. We're going to have to be more careful from now on." She opened a channel to the other ships, her voice steady despite the adrenaline still coursing through her veins. "This is the Intrepid. We've encountered some resistance at our location. Be on your guard out there. These weapons are not going to be easy to retrieve." As the acknowledgments came in, Lara leaned back in her seat, her mind already racing with the implications of their discovery. The search for the hidden weapons had begun, but it was clear that the path ahead would be fraught with danger and uncertainty. But they had no choice. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, and they were the only ones who could stop the coming darkness. Whatever challenges lay ahead, Lara knew that I would face them together, united in their resolve to protect the colonies and all those who called the stars their home. The search had begun, and there was no turning back now. Chapter 10. Guardians of the Past. As the Intrepid soared through the void, Lara couldn't shake the image of the guardian creature from her mind. The progenitors had gone to great lengths to protect their weapons, and she knew that they would face more challenges along the way. The comms crackled to life, and the voice of Captain Nara, leader of one of the other ships, filled the cockpit. "Intrepid, this is the Orion. We've just had a run-in with another Guardian at our location. It seems these things are everywhere." Lara frowned, her mind racing with the implications. "Acknowledged, Orion. It looks like we're going to have to be more careful moving forward. These Guardians are not to be underestimated." She turned to Jace, who was already pulling up the data from their encounter on the planetoid. We need to find a way to neutralize these Guardians without destroying the weapons they're protecting. Jace nodded, his fingers flying across the console. I might have an idea. The energy signatures we detected from the Guardian match those of the progenitor technology we've encountered before. If we can find a way to disrupt that energy, we might be able to disable the Guardians without harming the weapons. Lara's eyes lit up with excitement. That's brilliant, Jace. Get on it right away. We need to share this information with the other ships as soon as possible. As Jace got to work, Lara opened a channel to the rest of the fleet. Attention all ships. We have a potential solution to the Guardian problem. Stand by for further instructions. The acknowledgements came in, and Lara felt a surge of hope. They were making progress, slowly but surely. But she knew that they couldn't afford to let their guard down. The progenitors had left these weapons hidden for a reason, and she had a feeling that the Guardians were just the beginning of the challenges they would face. As the Intrepid continued its search, Lara's thoughts turned to the colonies they had left behind. She thought of her family, of the people who were counting on them to succeed. They had come so far, endured so much, and she was determined not to let them down. Suddenly, the ship's sensors began to beep frantically. Jace looked up from his work, his eyes wide with alarm. Lara, we've got incoming, a whole swarm of them. Lara's heart raced as she saw the readouts on the screen. A dozen Guardian creatures, each one larger and more menacing than the last, were bearing down on the Intrepid. She knew that they couldn't outrun them, not without abandoning their mission. All hands, battle stations, she ordered, her voice steady despite the fear that gripped her. We're going to have to fight our way through this. The crew sprang into action, manning their stations with grim determination. Lara took the helm, her hands gripping the controls tightly as she prepared for the battle ahead. The Guardians were upon them in seconds, their massive forms filling the view screen. Lara gritted her teeth as she launched a volley of missiles, the explosions rocking the ship. But the Guardians kept coming, their armor absorbing the blows like they were nothing. Jace's voice came over the comms, strained with effort. I think I've got it. Sending the disruption signal now. A high-pitched whine filled the cockpit, and Lara watched in amazement as the Guardians began to falter, their energy signatures fluctuating wildly. She seized the opportunity, launching another barrage of missiles that tore through their weakened defenses. One by one, the Guardians fell, their massive forms crashing to the planetoid's surface below. Lara let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding, her heart pounding in her chest. Good work, everyone, she said, her voice shaking slightly. Let's hope that disruption signal works on the other Guardians as well. As the Intrepid resumed its search, Lara couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The progenitors had left the bossy weapons for a reason, and she had a feeling that they weren't going to give them up without a fight. But she was ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. They had come too far to turn back now, and she knew that the fate of the galaxy rested on their shoulders. Whatever secrets the progenitors had left behind, she was determined to uncover them, no matter the cost. The search continued, and the Guardians of the past loomed large in Lara's mind. But she knew that they would face them together, united in their resolve to protect the colonies and all those who called the stars their home. Chapter 11. Echoes of the Progenitors. The Intrepid emerged from the disruption field, the swarm of Guardians reduced to lifeless husks drifting in the void. Lara leaned back in her chair, exhaustion and relief washing over her in equal measure. They had survived, but at what cost? Jace's voice broke through the silence. Captain, I'm picking up a strange signal. It's faint, but it seems to be coming from a nearby system. Lara sat up straight, her curiosity piqued. Can you isolate it? I'm trying, Jace replied, his fingers dancing across the console. It's unlike anything I've ever seen before. It almost seems alive. A chill ran down Lara's spine. The progenitors had been gone for millennia, but their influence still lingered. Was this another one of their creations, waiting to be discovered? Set a course, she ordered, her voice steady. We need to investigate. As the Intrepid sped towards the source of the signal, Lara couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the cusp of something momentous. The secrets of the progenitors had been hidden for so long, but now they were beginning to unravel. The ship dropped out of warp, and the view screen filled with the image of a massive structure hanging in the void. It was unlike anything Lara had ever seen before, a sprawling network of interconnected rings and spires that seemed to defy the laws of physics. "What is that?" Jace breathed, his eyes wide with wonder. "I don't know," Lara replied, her voice barely above a whisper, "but I have a feeling we're about to find out." As they approached the structure, a voice filled the cockpit, speaking in a language that none of them recognized. Lara felt a shiver run down her spine as the words washed over her, ancient and powerful. "Can you translate it?" she asked, turning to Jace. He nodded, his fingers flying across the console. "It's a warning. It says that only those who are worthy may enter." Lara's heart raced as she considered their options. They had come too far to turn back now, but she knew that whatever lay within the structure would test them in ways they had never been tested before. "We have to go in," she said, her voice firm. "We didn't come all this way just to turn back now." The crew nodded, their faces set with determination. They had faced the Guardians and emerged victorious, but they knew that this was just the beginning. As the Intrepid approached the structure, a beam of light shot out from its center, enveloping the ship in a blinding glow. Lara felt a strange sensation wash over her, as if her very essence was being examined. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the light faded, and the Intrepid was pulled into the structure's heart. Lara braced herself for whatever lay ahead, knowing that the fate of the galaxy rested on their shoulders. The secrets of the progenitors were within their grasp, but Lara knew that uncovering them would come at a great cost. The echoes of the past were growing louder, and she could only hope that they were ready to face whatever lay ahead. As the Intrepid disappeared into the structure, the stars seemed to flicker and dim, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. The fate of the colonies, and perhaps all of humanity, hung in the balance, and Lara knew that they could not afford to fail. Chapter 12. Revelations. The Intrepid emerged into a vast chamber, its walls pulsing with an otherworldly energy. Lara and her crew stared in awe at the intricate patterns etched into the surfaces, a testament to the progenitors' advanced technology. The air hummed with a low, resonant frequency that seemed to permeate their very beings. "Where are we?" Jace whispered, his voice echoing in the cavernous space. Lara shook her head, unable to find the words to describe the sheer magnitude of their surroundings. "I don't know, but I have a feeling we're about to find out." As if in response to her words, a holographic figure materialized before them, its features obscured by a shimmering veil of light. "Welcome, worthy ones," it spoke, its voice ancient and wise. "You have passed the trials and proven yourselves deserving of the truth." Lara stepped forward, her heart pounding in her chest. "What truth? Why did you bring us here?" The figure regarded her for a moment before speaking again. "Long ago, our civilization faced a threat beyond imagination, a cosmic force of destruction capable of annihilating entire galaxies. We knew we could not stop it, so we sought to create a safeguard, a way to ensure that life would endure even in the face of annihilation." The crew listened intently, their minds reeling with the implications of the progenitor's words. "Nemesis," Lara breathed. "You created it to protect us." The figure nodded. "Yes. Nemesis is a key, a catalyst that will unlock the true potential of those who prove themselves worthy. It will guide you to the remnants of our technology, scattered across the stars, and help you build a future free from the threat of extinction." Lara's mind raced with the possibilities. The progenitors' technology could change everything, could give them the power to protect the colonies and ensure the survival of humanity. But she knew that such power came with great responsibility. "What must we do?" she asked, her voice steady. The figure extended its hand, and a small, crystalline device materialized in Lara's palm. "This is the Nemesis protocol. It will guide you on your journey, but be warned, the path ahead is fraught with danger. There are those who seek to use our technology for their own gain, and they will stop at nothing to obtain it." Lara nodded, her determination unwavering. "We will not let that happen. We will use this gift to protect our people and build a better future for all." The figure smiled, its form beginning to fade. "Then go forth, worthy ones. The fate of the galaxy rests in your hands." As the hologram disappeared, the chamber began to shake, the walls crumbling around them. Lara and her crew raced back to the Intrepid, barely making it inside before the structure collapsed in on itself. As they sped away from the ruins, Lara clutched the Nemesis protocol tightly in her hand. She knew that the road ahead would be long and treacherous, but she also knew that they had been given a chance to change the course of history. With the power of the progenitors at their fingertips, they would build a new future for humanity, one free from the shadow of extinction. And as the stars streaked past the view screen, Lara knew that they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, united in their determination to protect the colonies and ensure the survival of their species. The Galactic Refuge had found its nemesis, but it had also found hope, a glimmer of light in the darkness of space. And with that hope, anything was possible.